Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Objection Handling Success 101. I want to explain what's going on for the next 4 weeks here because we do two classes, one at 10 o'clock, one at 11 o'clock. The classes that we do are Step Ahead Boot Camp, which is a 26-week training program designed for new realtors to make over $100,000 a year. The second class that we do is Step Ahead for Life. That's for agents that are making $100,000 a year or more, and you want to get to 200, 500, $1 million a year. For these 4 weeks, and these 4 weeks alone, because it just works out once a year to be able to do this, these classes are being combined. Why? The Objection Handling Success series is done in both courses. Why is it done in both courses? Because my hope is that for everyone that takes boot camp, when they come back and take Step Ahead for Life, that they would take these classes again, because there's so much that you can learn. And something that I just want to start by saying is objection handling and becoming good at it is a lifelong endeavor. If you're going to work in any type of sales business, consulting business, I always say you're a coach and an advisor, and you are, but you still need to be able to overcome objections. This is a skill that you need to work on, practice, rehearse, and everything else. So our next 4 weeks, these classes will all begin at 10 o'clock. Step Ahead for Life will also be a part of this. And we're going to go through and we're going to give you tools to overcome the most common objections, some objections that may not be quite as common. And my favorite class of this particular series is the pricing conversation, how to ensure that you walk out every time with a correctly priced house. Because I can teach you how to overcome the commission conversation, the length of listing conversation, the fact that they may want to use another realtor conversation, the fact that they maybe want to be a for sale by owner conversation. None of those things matter if you overcome them and you list a house that's worth $450,000 for $525,000 because it's going to sit on the market. So I'm really excited to work with you guys over these next 4 weeks. Before we get started, I'm going to put some files in to the chat room here. For you guys that are watching live on YouTube right now, if you would just please you can get in touch with me, send me a message, and I'd be happy to send all of these things to you. Just one moment, I'm going to send this, and then we're going to put our PowerPoint on, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So what happened? I just hit the wrong button. Sorry, guys. Give me one more minute. One, there's 1, 2, 3. Okay, so if you guys would go into the chat when you get a chance and download these, we're going to review them at the end. As for right now, I'm going to go and start my PowerPoint. Okay, so this is, again, Objection Handling Success 101, handling objections. We're going to start very basic and work our way up, but let's talk about some objections today. Daryl Davis, you guys hear me quote often, has served as a mentor to me. If you guys ever, Wednesdays at 12 o'clock, he does a free training. And I tell people, jump on it and learn. He's going to try to sell you his program, and whether you would want to do that or not. I did it for a while, and I downloaded all his great, some of the stuff I share with you guys. Even you'll see stuff on there. It says Daryl Davis. I paid for that. So I wouldn't necessarily say you need it, but he does have some innovative ideas. But he made a great statement here when he said, the art of objection handling lies in uncovering the real concern beneath the objection and addressing it in such a way that the sellers are once again focused squarely on their original commitment, why they are selling their home. Let me explain something to you guys that I've said to you since the first day most of you have met me. What is the number one thing that you need to learn in every conversation you have with every person that's ever lived on the earth and that you ever talked to? Anybody? What do I always tell you to find out?
Who the homeowner is.
Hmm?
Who the homeowner is.
That's true, but what did you say?
Okay.
See, so Jarika's here and she's had her head browbeaten by me so many times and she got the answer correctly right, 100% right. Find out what they're committed to. Okay, when you find out what someone is committed to and their intent, that's the same thing. When you find out what somebody's intent committed to, objections become much less of an obstacle. So, for example, it's March here now when we're doing this class live, and I tell you that I want to move by Easter, which is probably impossible at this point because Easter's in a month, less than a month. Let's say Memorial Day. I want to move by Memorial Day. And so you come and you have a conversation with me. And at the end of the conversation, everything's going well. We've agreed on the price. We've agreed on everything. Okay, am I ready to list? Which don't ever say that, but you get the point where you have the paperwork out in front of me, like we talked about in powerful listing conversations. No, wait. Oh, you know what? I want to clean up my landscaping and paint the inside of the house, and I think I'll be ready in 3 weeks. Well, I want to be moved by Memorial Day, which is what at this point, 8 weeks away.
Yeah.
Is that congruent to what I want to do? Absolutely not. So the key in this situation, and what we're going to talk about over these next 4 weeks, is you need to bring that person back to what it is they're committed to. If I said you want to be moved by then, you can say, listen, I understand you want to make your garden beds look a little nicer and you want to paint the house, but we don't have time for that. And go through and explain the process. What you're doing is you're taking what they're committed to, and for lack of better terms, you're throwing it back in their face. Not you trying to convince them, no, we've got to do it today, like a lot of people do. No, you're using their words against them. If you want to be moved in 8 weeks, it's going to take us probably 4 to 6 weeks to find a buyer, and then closing can take up to 4 weeks. We're really pushing it as it is to get you to where you want to be. Now, what do I do as the buyer, or as the seller in this case? Oh my, yeah, we got to get this done. And I go, so the real thing about an objection is twofold. Finding out what they're committed to overcomes most all objections. Now, I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but some objections are legitimate. We want to sell the house if I get the transfer to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Right.
I won't find out for 2 weeks. That's legitimate. And now you wait 2 weeks and you go. But for most people, it's not legitimate. And notice what Daryl said here. It lies in uncovering the real concern. Because most of the time, the objection that you get isn't necessarily what's really holding them back. Most of the time, in my experience and experience of hundreds of realtors I've trained and I've interviewed and things like that, the biggest thing that's holding them back is cold feet. There's no real objection there. They want to do this, but yeah, hey, you know what? It's easier to put this off until tomorrow or tell you 2 weeks than do it today.
Right.
Guys, if you master handling objections, I put 4 out of 5 on this. I wrote this training in my very first year of the Step Ahead Real Estate Academy. It was really my first full year in real estate of managing agents. I'll tell you now that it's either 9 out of 10 or it might even be 19 out of 20. If you learn the listing conversations that we've taught you in the powerful listing conversations training for you guys that have been through that, and you learn how to overcome these objections, you're going to close 19 out of 20 listing appointments. As I said to you guys before, I have 2 agents right now. One goes back to 2015, the other 2016. So we're on 10 and 11 years where they have not been on a listing appointment where they didn't walk away with the listing. And both of these agents are Circle of Excellence winners in New Jersey. So it's not like they got 3 listing appointments and got all 3. No, these are people that sell 30, 40, 50 houses a year. All right. Let's continue. So I'm going to give you the 10 commandments. I don't have a long beard. My name is not Moses, but I'm going to do my best. These are the 10 commandments of objection handling. Number one, never, ever, ever take objections personally. How many of you out there, if you've taken my disc profile course and things like that, have a high I personality? Notice I put my hand out. I have a high I personality. What are one of the weaknesses of having a high I personality? First of all, what is a high I personality? A high I personality is somebody, they go in the room, they're like the center of attraction, they're loud, they're boisterous, they like, being around people, they get energy from people. That is me, yes. I'm a very high I with a little bit of D. D's for dominance. Okay. What is the biggest obstacle that we face? We don't like rejection. We want to be the center of attention. If people aren't paying attention to us, we get all butthurt about that. That's a better word, right? Yeah, it's just how it is. That's the personality. So when somebody gives, and a lot of realtors, most realtors fall in the high I or high D categories. If you're somebody that's conscientious, real estate's probably not your thing. You're happy or steady. Steady, you're good. That's an accountant would be a steady. Conscientious, you might be a computer worker. So most people that are in real estate have at least some, if not, are full of I, like I am. So it's very important that you never take objections personally. When a potential listing states an objection, it's not about you. It's not aimed as a personal attack at you, which is how a lot of eyes will take it. But most of the time, it's at the real estate industry as a whole. How many of you have ever been on a listing appointment and they said, oh, all realtors are lazy and all they want to do is take our money. All they care about is their commission, right? You haven't been in this business for more than 20 minutes and somebody's probably said that to you. Well, the sad reason is they probably have had an experience or had a friend have an experience that's made them think that. And of course, we'll teach you guys how to show that not all realtors are built equally. And deep down, especially if you guys that take my training classes, you weren't trained that way and you're not that way. You put your client's needs first. Number two, thou shalt not. No, I'm just kidding. Handling objections is simply changing someone's perspective. I want to stop on that and think about this for a minute. Handling an objection. Everybody thinks an objection is like standing mano a mano. You're standing, you're in the boxing ring and you're standing toe to toe with the heavyweight champion. And if you approach objections that way, just like when we talked about for sale by owners, if you go to a for sale by owner and start, finger pointing, wagging, 8 out of 10 of you end up selling with it, listing with an agent. The average for sale by owner sells for 20% or more less than what I could sell it for. And I'm only all true things. But what do I always make the joke? What does that for sale by owner do? They cover their ears and stomp their feet like a kid at Toys R Us. It's the same thing here. You're not going toe to toe, head to head with these people. What your attitude needs to be is I need to educate them and change their perspective. And if you walk in with that attitude, you're going to have success. Even if you walked out of this class right now and never took another training on objection handling, if you just took this second commandment, it would change how you approach this. Understand that in the seller's box, in their mind, in their limited box, I'm going to show you something next week that I'm going to teach you how to use in overcoming objections. I think you guys are going to love. And next week, buckle in because it's a good hour and a half, maybe the full 2 hour of the class. But anyway, in the seller's box and in their mind, they don't think it's possible. They don't see what you're saying or what you can do as possible. They may not even know it exists. I use this analogy all the time, and I really need to build a graphic. But I want you to picture a circle, okay? It's a circle just with the outside line. There's nothing in the middle. In the middle, I want you to put a dot in that circle. Now, here's what I want you to consider. The dot is everything that you know. So everything that you know is that little dot in the center. Everything that's outside of the dot but inside the circle are things that you know that you don't know. So for example, If you came to me right now with a calculus problem, I'm probably going to be able to tell you that I can't solve that for you. I know I don't know calculus. You do trigonometry, algebra, calculus isn't my thing. I know that I don't know that. Outside of that circle is infinite, right? Through the galaxy, through the universe, through as many galaxies as there are, infinitely.
Right.
Okay? They are all the things that you don't know that you don't know. You might ask me a question, I'm like, I've never even heard of that before. That's what you don't know that you don't know. And when you're dealing with handling objections and people's perspectives, the many times they just don't know what they don't know. And it's your job to educate them. So always, as you'll hear me say a billion times, I already have, return the focus of that seller back to what they're committed to. And you'll handle the concern or objection based on what they're committed to. And by showing them what they don't know that you actually do know.
Show them the light.
Show them the light, yes. Commandment number 3. Look at objections as an opportunity to improve your skills. Everybody's scared to death of objections. People come into objection training. I taught this class one time to about 125 people I had in an auditorium back before COVID. And, we had 3 people on Zoom and everybody else in the classroom. Now it's the opposite. We have 1 million people on Zoom and YouTube and whatever, and only 3 people in the classroom. But I had a room full of people. And I asked around the room about that. And what's the biggest fear of making a phone call, of making a prospecting call, or going on a listing appointment? And the answer is always that somebody's going to hit me with an objection and I'm not going to know what to say, right? Nobody wants to look stupid, right?
Kind of happened to us the other day when the client came in and we were doing that part of the first thing they asked us. Do you remember when they asked us, is this a 55 or older community?
Yes.
We both kind of looked at each other and I was like, oh no.
Why not? I was like, I waited for a minute.
I was like, no, it's not, because I saw some young people, but that was a 90% guess that I was right. When I looked it up and it wasn't, but you remember that.
So, right.
Yeah.
So it's things like that, and even more so, that realtors are afraid of. And I want you to stop being afraid of being caught up in an objection. I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to say this because here's what I want you to do. Every Friday, and notice I said Friday because we've changed our day at 10 o'clock, we run a class called the Morning Grind. Anytime you're hit with an objection and somehow it happens where you can't answer it or a question you can't answer, I want you to bring it to the Morning Grind on Friday. We're going to solve it. And here's my promise to you. You will never get beaten by that objection again. Going back to this commandment, look at objections as an opportunity to improve your skills, an opportunity to grow stronger, an opportunity to say, I'm never going to get beat by that again. And understand that you also sometimes don't know what you don't know. I manage a realtor, managed a realtor for many years. She is been a realtor for 54 years. She still comes and says to me, I got hit with this. What do you think I should say? And I don't always know the answer either, but what's great is we'll look it up and we'll get the right answer for her. But the point is you're always going to have something, but every time you get hit with one of these, especially more common objections, what's going to happen? Now you have that answer. Now you have this answer. Now you have this answer. So look at it as an opportunity to improve your skill, not that I'm going to make a fool of myself. Make it fun. Make it like a game. I almost dare these people in this listing appointment to ask me something that they're going to stump me with, right? I want you to flip the script. I want you to go in from a place of power, a place of authority, instead of going to a place of, oh God, I hope they don't ask me something I don't know. Too many realtors out there, and it's the majority of realtors, walk in like a timid mouse in a corner instead of walking in like a raging bull. You need to be a raging bull.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another thing, remember to be truly present in the conversation, okay? If you're sitting there worried about I think they're going to ask you how much I charge for commission. Oh, they're going to ask me about this. Oh, and you're not paying attention to them, you're going to be out of sync with your client. Stay in the moment. Okay? One of the worst things about human beings is that we can sit there and dwell in the past, and we can sit here and we can fret the future.
Yeah, face it as it comes.
You take a dog. Remember that handling an objection is not confrontational. What are you guys? What do I tell you are all the time? You're coaches and advisors. You're not salespeople. You're not whatever. You're a coach and you're an advisor. So you're coaching them. It's coaching. It's teaching. It's educating the client. So don't look at it as a confrontation. Commandment number 4. One of the worst things that I see agents do, that I see everybody do in almost every business when they get an objection, is try to slough through it and rush through it as quick as they can. Take your time handling objections. Don't rush your answer. Create a dialogue, guys, okay? And thoughtfully answer questions and concerns. Ask them, did that fully answer your question? Did I explain that okay? Or do we need to continue on this? Again, it goes back to, if you're trying to rush it, what are you being? You're being afraid, right? You're on the defensive. Again, I want you like that raging bull. You're on the offensive. You're confident. You know who you are. You know that you, even if you don't necessarily know all the answers, you believe and you portray that you know all the answers. And if you do it that way and you don't show that you're afraid, your confidence is going to rub off on them. You know what? Jerika's got it. Daniel's got it. It's, okay, I'm signing that listing agreement.
Right.
Okay, I'm trusting them to find me the perfect house. Confidence is absolutely key when it comes to objections. Number 5. This can be a tough one. And we go through this in week 26 of Step Ahead Boot Camp. It's a personality training that we do. It's in the Agent Mindset training series. We do a couple more of the Agent Mindset training series here in Step Ahead for Life as well. But one of the things that you have to be careful of is, have you ever gone into a listing appointment, or even with a buyer, or even with this, anybody, and you have somebody that's always cutting you off, okay? And they're always trying to control the conversation. Again, going back to the DISC profile, and again, we go through that in nauseating detail in Agent Mindset training. That's a D. That's a D personality, which stands for dominant. People that cut you off and cut in and interject and things like that, they're trying to control the conversation. That's all it is. They may not even know they're doing it, but that's their personality. What you need to do is make them realize that they need to handle objections, that they should save their objections or their questions. Don't use the word objections. They should save their questions to the end. You need to stay in control of the conversations, especially a listing conversation. So the way you want to do that is, here you go. A presentation may start with the person telling you they're not signing a listing agreement today. Say, that's okay, great. But let me tell you a little bit myself and whatever, so I'm here. Most of the times you're going to leave with a listing. That's somebody that's doing that, okay? Second thing with objections is you get the people that cut you off and whatever else. Here's what I always say to them. I've been doing this a long time, and I find that, I've refined, everything that I go through that will answer most people's questions if you just let me get through the presentation. So if you could do me a favor, just let me roll through this. At the end, if I missed anything, okay, then we'll go through it. And that is the easiest way to handle objections at the end, is just by stating that out there. Be clear and focused. And remember, your commitment should be to what they're committed to. A lot of times, husband or wife say, listen, let's just make a pact. The realtor's coming in. We're not going to sign anything today. Right? I know we both want to be moved by Memorial Day or 4th of July or whatever you decide to make, right? But we're not going to do anything today. Okay, it sounds good. And again, they may start that presentation with, yes, we want to hear everything you have to say, or you know, we're just here to show you, you promised a free market evaluation. We just want the price. And they might start like that. But the bottom line is if through your presentation, you're continually going back to what they're committed to, being moved by, whatever that date is, and talk about their new neighborhood, you're going to get them focused on what they're committed to and show that you're committed to getting them to what they're committed to. What's going to happen? They're going to shift and they're going to see, wait a minute, it's not you and me against him. We're all in this, we're all working for the same common goal.
Right.
And when you change that mind shift, objections melt away. Commandment number 6. The better your presentation, the fewer objections you will get. Let me tell you something that has happened to me through the years, and I'm always very, very, very appreciative when I get this compliment. And I get it quite often. When I interview people, I always, at the end of my interview, whether it be somebody that's getting into real estate or somebody that has their license and they've been trained of what to ask, hey, do you have any questions for me? I've had people say to me even this, you know, my real estate instructor told me no matter what to have at least 3 questions and ask whatever, but quite frankly, you answered all my questions in your presentation. I've had many people say, really, you answered all my questions. I thought I was going to have some, but you answered them all. It's the greatest compliment I can get. However, in 2013, 2014, when I started recruiting agents, do you think that I got no questions at the end? No, I got bombarded with them. You think I started being able to do it as well as I do now? Why do I do it as well as I do now? Because every time somebody gives me a question at the end of an interview, and it still happens, not as much anymore. And again, a lot of times people say it, I write it down and I say, how do I add this to my conversation? Now, if it's some moronic question, I usually say, hey, you know what? There's a Remax down the street. Why don't you go work? Keller Williams down the street, go work for them. But no, if it's a legitimate question, I figure out why is that? Where did I miscommunicate that you didn't get this? You know, that you didn't get whatever this point was in my presentation. And I'd figure it out. For you guys, it's a conversation, right? Listening conversation. For me, it's a presentation. I'm trying to.
May need to be explained in the different.
Or mine's an interview, actually, right?
Yeah.
So the better your presentation is, and the more you overcome what people do, the less objections you're going to get, and the easier it is to close. Again, going back to the same thing, I need you to be powerful. I need you to be prepared, confident, passionate, and most importantly, and I can't teach this last one, you got to truly care about your client. If you truly care about your client, it comes through. I don't know how, why, whatever. They're going to feel it. They're going to know it. And it's going to help all these other things. And again, I say this again, like I said before, stay present in the conversation. Don't think ahead. Don't think behind. Don't sit there, oh, I totally screwed up my introduction, or I totally screwed up by this. Let it go and stay right there with them. Number 7, use analogies. We talked about Daryl Davis early on, and he's one of the best at teaching this. Tell stories. I worked for a guy for many years before I was in real estate. I worked in healthcare. I used to own health clubs, but I worked in healthcare. I ran a Medicare product. And I met this guy. He was a vice president. We were hired at the same time. I think we're a small company back then. It's got thousands of employees now. I think I was employee 49 and he was like number 50. He was a vice president. And when we would go in and meet with these HMOs, we would meet with the presidents of, you know, I met the president of Humana. I've met the president of what's now United Healthcare, not the one that was murdered. Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield, New Jersey. I met all these people. Michigan, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Michigan. And he would come in. And you guys have to realize I'm from New Jersey, okay? And I've got Jerika here, so she's my compadre. She's from New Jersey. And you're from New York originally, right?
No, Virginia.
Oh, Virginia. Yeah, so no, you're not gonna necessarily maybe relate with me as much as whatever, maybe a little bit of that. But we're direct and to the point.
Right.
or direct and to the point. I walk in, you want to list this house, $600,000, sign your name on the bottom line. Let's get this bad boy in the market. We're very direct people. So this guy who turned out to be one of my great mentors, I've had two really good mentors in my life. He would go in and tell a story. Now he's written 3, 4 books and stuff like that where he tells stories and whatever else. And I'd be sitting there with this president and CEO, and I'd be thinking to myself, my God, this guy's never gonna, he's got 1 million meetings today. He's got $1 billion budget. He doesn't want to hear your story about, your Texas tale. He was from Texas. And you know what I learned from it? Every one of those times he told one of those analogies and those stories, the people totally appreciated it. And I realized, no, he wasn't the problem. I'm the problem because I'm too direct, quick, and to the point.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to step back and use analogies so people see things, right? So tell stories. Create a picture in the client's mind. If you're trying to tell a story, if I'm trying to tell a story and I just keep it real brief and just say, you need to sell your house, you need to do this, and that. And instead, I tell a story and I mix all these things in here. And we're going to have this beautiful yard sign. It's going to have this and that. And we're going to have this, and we're going to have balloons for your open house. And all of a sudden, it's painting a picture in your mind. And that wasn't a great analogy because I don't have anything to give an analogy about. But when you're using it, use analogies, guys. I found that by that people that use analogies like this create a picture in somebody's mind, and they can actually see the vision of how this is going to go. Whereas you just go in and hit them hard, again, like my personality tends to do. And again, I have some of that D in me too, which makes it direct. Let's go from point A to point B. I don't want any zigzagging. Yeah, right. You want to go point A to point B. If you guys ever saw, I would do a little bit on this. Jordan Belfort, if you ever saw the movie The Wolf of Wall Street, he talks. What he teaches is the power of persuasion, straight line persuasion. What does he mean? If this is point A and this is point B over here, you want to go in a straight line across. You don't allow the conversation to zig. You don't allow it to zag. And he teaches you how to reel people in, reel people in, reel people in. Well, that's all good and well, but sometimes you need a little zig and zag to let people see the bigger picture. So use analogies. Use subtle closes frequently. I love this one. Why is this one so important? Because you want to know where a person is. So let's say we're talking about this and I'm going through my marketing program, right? We're doing the, and again, if you haven't taken my class on doing the listing conversation, you either will or you should, but we teach an REAL, right? It's build rapport, engage, find out what they're committed to. Here that is again. And then we do the 3 A's. Advise them about yourself and your company, advise them about your marketing plan, advise them about the price, and then of course L is list. When you're advising them about your marketing plan, you're getting into now what's going to become the hardest part, right? Agreeing on a price and getting them to sign the paper. Shouldn't be the hardest part, but usually that's the thing we stress the most about. So I want to know where you stand before I start getting into pricing and before I start putting papers in front of you to sign. What's one way to do that? I was looking, you have a corner property. I was thinking the yard sign should maybe go catty corner, or we put 2 so we can get both streets and people see your sign. If the people respond, my wife and I were saying the exact same thing, or my girlfriend and I, or whatever, we were thinking the same thing, and sign would go well there. What do I know if they've considered where a sign is? They're ready to sell this house. Oh, you're talking about a sign. We haven't decided we want to list the house yet. What are we talking about a sign for? Now what do I know? I've got work to do. So that's what's called a trial close. It's a subtle close, a trial close, and it gets you knowing where that person is. Number 9, objections occur because of ineffective communication. Usually people will object. Why? Because they don't understand you weren't clear. You weren't clear. And you have to take responsibility for it. We've all done it. I've done it on listing appointments. I've done it in interviews where, I didn't have a good day. Clarity, clarity, clarity. Again, what did I say? Be confident. Be that roaring lion, guys, that bull. Be confident and present them with a commitment to help them get what they want. I can get you to where you're committed, and say it confidently. And the 10th commandment, always, 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 and we teach this in the Powerful Listing Conversation series, when we get to the L, assume the listing. Flow smoothly into the close. It's not an extra part. Yes, I give you the REAL and I break it down, but that last A, advising them on the price and going into the listing, should be smooth as silk. Or was it smooth as Jiffy? Remember that old song in Peanut Butter ad? Yeah. Make it slow, make it flow. And I need you to not only think this, I really should change this to believe. So you need to believe that based on what that person's committed to, it makes sense that they're going to hire you to reach their goals. Why wouldn't they hire you? They want to be moved by Memorial Day. Of course they're going to hire you. They need to hire you. So this step should come naturally with no stopping to field objections. All right, moving out of that, we're going to move into steps to avoiding objections and signing the listing agreement. Step number 1 is to agree on the sale price. Now, one of the things I want to tell you about the sale price is that in 2 weeks from today, 3 weeks from today, whatever it is, we are doing, as I said to you, a training in this series called the pricing conversation, where we're going to make sure that you and the customer are always, always, always on the same page and you don't walk out with a listing that's overpriced. Because if you walk out with a listing that's overpriced, what did you walk away with? A listing? No, you walked away with a headache. And we'll talk more about this in a couple of weeks. So, agree on the sale price. So you can always say, aside from the price, based on what you've seen about me and my company and my marketing plan, are you ready to go ahead and hire me? If they don't say yes, what's holding them back? Find out and handle that objection. Okay? So before you go into that third ed, okay, which is agreeing on the sale price and getting the listing, and you present your CMA, make sure that they understand how good your marketing plan is, how good your company is, how good you are, that you're a top agent in the area. Next step. Assumptively fill out the listing agreement. A lot of you guys asked when we did the listing conversation, we didn't really go over filling out a listing agreement. And I said to you, hold tight. Hold tight because we handle it now in these classes. I want you to get used to going and doing the listing conversations, which most of you now have done. Now I want you to learn this next part, which is getting this down. And again, and it's step to step, right? So subtly fill out the agreement. So we're sitting there talking. I'm just going to start filling it out. I'm going to put today's date. We agreed on the price. So I'm going to put the price in. I'm going to assume 6 months, unless I assume a year, which I sometimes do. And I'm going to assume 3%. Start writing. If you feel awkward, kind of feels uncomfortable, maybe they're giving you daggers. Hey, what's today's date again? March 9th. Okay. And write it in. So keep it smooth, keep it easy, and assume. Step 3, keep them involved. You've tried to keep them silent for the first parts. Well, now silence is not golden. Continue to ask questions to keep them engaged. Get them thinking about what they're committed to. So where are you looking to move? Oh, you're looking to move to Clearwater. I know you're into golf. Have you been to Countryside Country Club? You love the beach. Where's your favorite spot in the area to go to the beach? Oh, I like to sit in front of Frenchies because I like a grouper sandwich at lunch. Oh, I know, me too. All right, whatever the questions and answers are, right? Keep the conversation going and flowing. Step 4, hand them, okay? Hand them a pen and direct them to sign. Can you hand me a pen real quick? I'm gonna show you something. If I want you to sign here, and you guys can't see me on the screen here, and I put the pen down, just practice this with somebody, and you'll see what I mean. Feel how awkward that feels?
Yeah.
I don't know why. Anybody else that I've ever heard talk about this, nobody knows why, but it's almost like
Feels like an obligation.
it feels really weird. So instead, I want you to just hand them the pen, never use the word sign or endorse or any of those other words, and just point where they're going to sign. Now, you guys can't see me on the set, on the screen, I'm sorry, but I'm pointing to where Daniel would sign. I'm going to pretend that his beautiful wife is Jarika here. As I'm pointing here, oh, and let me back up, because we talked about this, but this is just a reminder from our listing conversation training. I'm always going to the person that I feel I have the best rapport with to sign first. So in this case, it's going to be Daniel. So I'm going to point there. Jarika, you said you love Frenchies. What's your favorite meal at Frenchies? And you're signing. Okay. Now he signed. I'm going to take the agreement over here. I'm going to hand the pen. What's your favorite hole at Countryside Country Club? You said you played it before.
Hole 3.
There you go. Right? Done. You guys see how I did that? So I took this a little bit further than just what the bullet says, and let me just answer Suzanne's question. You would. So Suzanne asked, why would we not have this almost completed beforehand to avoid these gaps in silence? I made it dramatic for you guys because I'm training you. You would have the property address. You would have all of the information, but there are 3 things that you cannot put on a listing agreement before you go. What are they? Okay.
3 things you can't.
3 things you wouldn't want to put on a listing agreement before you go. Everything else should be filled out. Suzanne's got 100% right. But what 3 things wouldn't you have filled out? What's that?
The price. The price. You don't put the price in until you agree.
The price is 1. What was the next one?
Dates, maybe?
Nope. Dates you'd want to have on there.
Well, I'll say the second.
Commission, correct. And what's the third one? Anybody? Length of listing.
No.
The length of the listing.
Oh,
Yes,
So
but
you
I meant by the date. I
That's what I'm gonna
apologize.
say. Arguably, that's exactly it. So, because I haven't discussed with you or agreed with you on what price.
right.
Now, my friend Todd, he's been a broker since 1983. He always has gone in, he still does this to this day, at a listing appointment. And he already has pre-written his 6-month listing agreement time. And he'll scratch it out and have them initial. And he also always puts 7% commission. He said he's once in a while put 8% commission. It's his world, we just live in it. I know, that's what I always said to him. It's your world, we just live in this. But he was good with it, and he made it work that way. So you could arguably do that. But I'm going to tell you what I would leave those 3 things blank, just because it's easy to write those in, and they're the 3 things that are pretty much negotiable. And especially the biggest one that's going to be probably a little bit negotiable is the price. But we're going to teach you how to make sure you're getting the price that's right in a couple of weeks. Okay? Step 5. I already did this. Ask the spouse a question. So when Daniel was signing, I asked you what your favorite food was. When Jarika was signing, I asked you what your favorite hole was on the golf course.
Right.
It keeps the other person engaged. And what does it stop, especially in the first case? Right? Because I know I've got a better rapport with Daniel and a much better shot that he's just going to sign away. I'm stopping you from giving him daggers. I'm stopping you from saying you're just signing away the house that we've lived in together for 30 years and raised 3 kids in. That's what I'm stopping here. Okay? We're going to change subjects a little bit and let's talk about objections. What is an objection? Well, there's a couple kinds. Number one is a blow off. A blow off is the most common objection you're going to get. Why would somebody blow you off? Because they don't want to deal with it right now.
We're not committed.
They may even be committed, but they don't want to deal with it today.
Mm.
They're procrastinating, right? So it's just so they don't have to make a decision. What's the easiest way to overcome a blow off? Get them back to what they're committed to. It usually overcomes the blow off. But what you need to do in the case that there could be a real objection is uncover what the real objection is. They may say, oh, I'm not thinking about whatever today. No, I don't really like you or trust you or know you well enough, or no, you didn't explain I don't understand the marketing plan. It could be any of these things. We need to dig and get there to find out what it is so you can go back and assure them. And we're going to give you some things for that. Of course, you guys remember the brag book, and I know Jerika made a brag book. The brag book. Why would you use the brag book? Because you didn't do a good enough job of people getting to know you at the time you met with them. And I'm not wagging my finger at you like that, but I am. But I don't mean it. It's not a personal thing. We've all done it. We just don't have that connection that you'd like to have with the person. It's okay, but that is uncovering the real objection, because you might be offended to say, Bill, I don't really know you or like you, or whatever it is. I need to know you better. So what are you going to say? Yeah, okay, let me think about it. Let me think about it. It's a blow off. Yeah. I need to find out. Well, Bill, I need to know more about you. And then I would bring my brag book out right then. Number two, there's a condition. A condition is a real issue that prevents somebody from listening at this time. As I said, I'll give you another example. I gave you the example of, I'll find out if I get that job in, where did I say? Oklahoma in 2 weeks, right? Here's another one. I want to move to Clearwater when I retire. When are you retiring? A year from June. We're just trying to get our ducks in order. I had you over because I want to know how much my house is worth in this market. I realize it can fluctuate. What did you find out? All the convincing in the world isn't going to make me list my house today, because I still need my house, because I've got to go to work for another 14 months. What else does it tell you? Come next January, you should have a slam dunk listing if you continue to build the relationship with me, stay in touch with me, and get me there. That's a conditional objection, and one that over time, if you build the relationship, you will overcome. And then there's a real objection. An objection is something that the person in front of you believes is real. They believe it. And we're going to talk about this a little bit, or maybe next week it's one of these trainings, but we're going to talk more about this. Even if their objection is completely ridiculous, you need to acknowledge it, okay? And make it legitimate, even if it's not, even if it's just something completely crazy.
Make them understand you're here.
But make them understand that, yeah, and that you empathize with them. Yep. So because an objection is something they believe is real, and objections need to be understood, overcome. What's the best thing you can do when somebody gives you an objection? How?
Give them a solution.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. You want to give them whatever their objection is. You want to come up with a secondary solution.
You do. But the best way to do that is to fully understand by asking them questions. Because the more you ask them questions, no, your answer's right. But the more you ask the questions and get them talking about it, it's now not confrontational. And then you can get that information to give back to them. Because you're still trying to figure out what needs to be what they need to understand for it to be overcome. If an agent keeps getting the same objection, if Bill, 12 years into hiring realtors, keeps getting a question of, wait, can you explain that? I don't understand your commission. I don't understand your commission structure. Whose fault is that? Mine. I don't understand how you pay out. I don't understand what whatever it is. If I keep getting hit with the same objection, right? Thank God I don't. I need to do a better job. If you as a realtor keep getting hit with the same objection, you're usually either doing or not doing something in your conversation that's causing that same question to come up. You need to address it earlier. You don't want these things coming up at the end. You want to overcome them all early so you can smoothly go into that list. If it's a blow off, one of the biggest things with blow offs is you're not creating urgency. So you told me you want to be moved by Memorial Day. Okay, that doesn't get, so I would say when I get in my marketing plan, because I already found during the engaged time that you want to be moved by Memorial Day. Listen, like you said, you want to be moved by Memorial Day. It doesn't give us a lot of time, but you know what? I've got a plan that's going to get you there when you need to be there. And here's the plan. In my marketing plan, A, B, C, D. We got to jump on this and get these things scheduled right away so we can get them out there. What did I just do? I created urgency, right? And the way I said it, I kind of used some excitement to get you to buy in and be like, yeah, we need to start and get this started now. Create urgency. Commission. You don't have to charge 6%. Oh, God. First of all, you need confidence and you need to believe in who you are and what your services are. One of the things that people that have come into this classroom have, you guys both have menus?
Yes.
I know you do.
I think that.
Okay. The commission menu.
Yeah.
I teach commission menus. By the way, I learned that from Darrell Davis. Another great thing I learned from him about 10, 12 years ago. Having a commission menu shows this is what I charge. You know, if you go into a restaurant, you know, you go to Burns Steakhouse, if you guys are from Tampa, and I say, I don't want to pay $85 for this steak. How about I give you $75? No, I'm not going to do that. Why? There's a menu with a price on it. By using a menu with a price, it overcomes this. And if anybody needs a copy of that, get in touch with me outside of this class. I'll get you, and you can actually put your own information, everything else in there. The menu shows what price gives you what service. You want to go to 2%? Guess what? I'm not sending a professional photographer to your house now. Just not, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to run an open house, or I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to advertise on social media, or I'm not going to. You get what you pay for. Make a menu. But point is, if you keep getting the same thing on commission, you need to be confident and believe in what you do and have no apologies for what you charge. You might be skipping a step. A lot of times, people slough through their marketing plans. Your marketing plan should take 15 to 20 minutes. You need to be using what I taught you earlier, feature, explain, advantage. If you don't know what that is, come take those listing classes again. If you've kind of sloughed away from that and you're using the laundry list, I'm going to put you on the internet, I'm going to put you on the MLS, whatever, and you're not given the explain advantage, you need to stop and go back to it. 15, 20 minutes should be in your marketing plan, so that by the time I'm done listening to your marketing plan and we're getting to the price of the house, and then if we get in the commission discussion, it should be a no-brainer to me. Oh my God, you're going to give me all that for just 6%? That's how you want to make them feel. You're probably rushing your conversation. Link the listing. You need to better explain your marketing plan and how it takes time. I expect to get you under contract in 4 to 6 weeks. Make sure you look at your current market, guys, before you go giving projected time frames, because if it's a slow market and it's 3 months, you need to tell them 3 months. If it's a fast market, it might be 2 months, but whatever. But you're probably rushing you're not explaining the process with selling. You're not explaining how it works, that they have to get the person under contract and all the other things that go along with that.
That's where I messed up on my last one.
What's that?
This thing I got.
Like the listing?
I
Yeah.
got a question from them and I was like, I didn't know how to answer it. They said,
Yeah.
how long would the listing be, or how long would they be under?
What I always tell people is my marketing plan is a 6-month marketing plan. This is for residential, regular residential. I use a 6-month marketing plan. Usually my marketing plan doesn't take that long, but just in case, and I'm going to teach you this next week, but let me ask you something. If you were baking a cake and the recipe called for 4 eggs, how many eggs would you buy?
12.
Why would you buy 12? No, it's not a trick question,
I mean,
because they're sold that way.
well, yeah.
Or you might buy a 6.
Yeah.
But with the 6, what would you do with the 2 extra eggs? Well, something may happen.
Yeah.
You might break one of them and need an extra. You could always use a spare egg, right? This, that, whatever. It's the same thing with my marketing. I expect to get your property under contract in 3 months. But if things go awry, if the market changes, if something happens, there's all kinds of things that can happen here. We happen to go under contract and maybe the buyer gets cold feet and gets out during the inspection period. Something could happen where I need this extra time, and my marketing plan is set up to go for 6 months. It's a reinforced marketing plan that goes on top of to ensure that your house will go under contract. Overcomes length of listing. Pricing objection. How many have been hit with everything's good? I don't care. I love your marketing plan. I'll pay you 6%. I'll let you list it for a year, but I want to list it for $75,000 more than what you told me it was worth. Okay. That's a price objection. The number one thing that you can do before you come in, and I always teach this again in listing conversations, is you're going to sit down with your CMAs. You guys can see me. You just put them down, all spread out separate, right? So they can see them, validate them. I checked with an appraiser too, and I got the recent appraisals of the houses from this neighborhood. I have my broker. I have a broker price opinion on these houses. I went over with an agent in my office that's been an agent for 35 years and made sure she thought they were right as well. I always do this. I'm very confident. I'm one of the best people at pricing houses in the area, but I always like to throw my stuff off and just make sure that everything's right. Now, what have you done? You've not only made yourself a pricing expert, but you've thrown it on me as your broker, who people assume are a pricing, they assume I'm a pricing expert. What do they know about an appraiser, right? Appraiser, that's all you're going to get for a house.
Right.
So now what do they know before they looked at those numbers? 2 to 3 experts, maybe 4, have all agreed that this is the price opinion. Now, that's going to help you in most cases. Sometimes you get an unreasonable person. And we're going to talk more about that in the pricing conversation. Well, that's just what I want to get. Why don't we try that price? We're going to go over these going forward because I know you guys have probably been through this or will go through this. And don't worry, in these 4 weeks, you're going to learn to overcome all of this. Uncovering the real objection. When you get the blow off, you must uncover the real objection underneath. In the handouts that I gave you today that are in the chat, I gave you 3 techniques to overcome these. So the first, here, you can take my copy, is the multiple choice technique. The multiple choice technique, guys, works in many cases. And the 3 that I have here, we're up in the ante. You know, it's like if you had bugs in your house, you go in with the light stuff first, then you come in with the heavier stuff, then you come in with the atomic bomb. That's what we're going to do here for objections. So the multiple choice technique gets somebody to bring this to a point. So you're going to say, seller, the seller says, wait a second. Whoa, I'm not signing anything tonight. I don't want to sign anything tonight. I need to think about it. So I say, well, Charles, I can appreciate that you want to give it some thought because it's an important decision. And I think if I was in your shoes, I'd want to think about any concerns I might have as well. But just out of curiosity, what specific concerns do you want to think about? Now, this guy's blowing you off, right? He doesn't really have anything in his mind.
Yeah.
He's just trying to not make a decision right now. So he says, I don't know, right? So you say back, well, is it something about the price? Or maybe even the net, the amount of money you're gonna get out of the sale? No. Is it something about the length of the listing? No, 6 months is fine with me. Okay, is there something about me or my company? Do you feel that we can't do the job? Or, so you feed every possible objection to the seller that's common one at a time. How much should you feed them? Till you think enough's enough. But usually they're going to stop on one, and you're going to get that's going to flush out the real objection. If it doesn't work, you're done with the raid, and you're going to whatever the next one up is. The key concerns technique. This is when you throw the kitchen sink at them all at once. So, Charles, I'm a little confused because based on what you told me about why you're selling, I really believe I can help you. If I didn't think I could help you, I wouldn't ask you to hire me. My batting average is pretty high, and I'd like to keep it that way. So I feel good about us. I feel like I can help you, but I can see something's holding you back. In my experience, when a seller is truly committed to selling, and I believe that you are, you told me you need to be moved by Memorial Day, going back to our example, and we don't go forward, it's usually because of one of these three key concerns. It might be something about the price. For example, you think you may not net enough to make this move work. It could be about the length of the listing, that there's a concern making a commitment for the length of time we discussed. Or maybe it's something about me or my company. Perhaps you think there's a better company out there, or you don't feel my company has the knowledge or experience in this area. If you had to pick one of these as being the one thing you had to think about, which would it be? This drives most people out. If you didn't get them on the first one, you're going to probably get them on this one. However, now, you guys are football fans. It's the fourth quarter. It's your fourth down. You got 20 yards to go, and you got one play. And we use what's called the Good Samaritan technique. Seller says, again, a blow off, hey, just give us a couple weeks, and then we're going to give you a call. Right? Charles, based on, or I'm going to tell you this, I'm going to honestly believe it. You want to be moved by Memorial Day, right? It's March 9th. We got 2.5 months. Based on your situation and based on what's happening in our market right now, you need to hire someone to represent you and get you on the multiple listing service. And guess what? Maybe I'm just not the person to do it. But I have to tell you, I'd rather at least see you go with a broker, any broker, than none at all. So I'm going to give you the names and numbers of a couple other brokers for you to talk to, because I'd rather see you hire an agent than try to do this on your own. What you're doing here is you're showing your client that you care more about them than yourself. At this point, your humanity is coming out. And many times I've had agents come back and say, I couldn't believe it, but I actually walked away with the listing. Other times I've had them say, yeah, you know what? I don't feel like we'd work well. They come out and honest. I don't think we feel like we'd work well together.
Yeah.
And so you have a deal with another realtor in your office, right? You know what? I get the perfect person for you. Give him Jerika's number and you walk away with 25%.
Yeah.
You take a referral and you do that and just say, hey, if you get somebody, guys, do this. Find somebody in your office you can do this with. This isn't going to happen often. By the way, all these objections that we're going through here, we taught you in the listing conversation how not to have these come up. These are all one-offs. Everything we're going to go through for the next 4 weeks, except the pricing conversation. The pricing conversation you're going to use at least half, if not 3/4 of the time. And if anybody's been on a listing conversation, they know people want to always sell their house for more than it's worth, but we'll deal with that. The objection handling process. Once you're clear on what the true objection is, I want you to learn and use this 5-step process to overcome the objection. Number 1, acknowledge. We mentioned this earlier. I think it was the word that you said to me, Daniel, acknowledge. Acknowledge. Let them know that it's okay to feel the way they feel. So many people, because they don't like them, you give me a thing, oh, that's ridiculous. Oh, you're crazy, right? And why do you answer flip it like that? Because me as the realtor, what am I being? Defensive. You need to not be defensive. Instead, acknowledge what they're saying. Let them know it's okay to feel the way they feel. Slow down and take your time. Again, the biggest mistake people make when they do objections is they try to rush through them. Well, if I slough through it and rush through it, guess what? You're not going to be satisfied. And what are you going to do? You're either going to come up with another objection, you're going to hammer on that one, or you're just going to kick me out of your house. So give a longer, specific response instead of just saying, oh, I know how you feel. What does I know how you feel? It's a bunch of crap. It's patronizing.
Yes.
I need to be specific. Step 2, ask questions. Ensure you're clear about their concern, their issue, or their objection. Ask them why they feel the way they feel. Use open-ended questions. Use clarifying questions with things that seem to be true, like they agree on the price of the home. Make sure you're 100% clear what that objection is. Number 3, confirm. Confirm that this is the only objection that needs to be handled. Okay, well, if it's the price and we go through again and I can show you why this really is the right price to list your home, if I can show you that, are you ready to list? Yes. Good. If not, return to asking questions, because there may be 2 things. It's the price and it's your commission, because I've got to net $100,000 for the down payment for my new house. Now I know what it is. It's the combination. It's the net. It's not they want to sell the house more. It's not that they want me to charge less. It's that they need $100,000 to walk out the door. Now I have a full understanding of what they're looking for. Number 4, handle it. Address their objection. Use a visual when you can. And again, going back to what we talked about earlier, use an analogy. Share a story about another client. Share a story about another situation. Get them to picture in their mind how this is overcoming what this objection is. Number 5, invite action consistent with what they are committed to. Okay? So either find out if they have more questions or get them signing that listing.
Mhm.
Questions. And again, I just want to remind everybody that for the next 4 weeks. Oh, can I back up a little bit to number 3? Buddy the Wonder Dog was having a Cujo moment. Okay, number 3. Let me go back. What was number 3? Confirm. Confirm that it's the only objection that needs to be handled. Is this the only thing stopping us? If not, there's more than one objection. Now I'm going to go back and handle those objections one at a time. Okay. Any other questions? And I'm going to just remind everybody, as I just said, that this particular class is being done for both Step Ahead Boot Camp and Step Ahead for Life. We're doing them in tandem. So we will be 10 o'clock for the next 3 weeks, today and then the next 3 weeks. Again, any other questions before I let you guys go off of here? And I want to thank
I do
everybody.
have a question. I have a question. This is obviously my first time in your trainings. Absolutely loved it. I see you mentioning listing presentations. My question is, I have been to plenty of listing appointments over the past year or so where I haven't even had a listing presentation. I bring it with me. I come very well prepared to my appointments, and I offer the sellers, the question, do you want me to present you with my listing presentation, or you just want us to sit down and talk? And most of the time they just want to talk and I get the listing, but I see you enforcing this. So I'm wondering, should I be definitely enforcing the listing presentation?
No, in fact, I cut anybody's tongue off that uses the word presentation. These guys here know that, and Suzanne knows that. We use the word conversation. And if you, the trainings that I do, the 4 weeks of trainings that I do are called Powerful Listing Conversations. And the first thing I teach is it's not a presentation, it's a conversation. If you walk in and said, I've told these guys this story before. When I first got in this business, it was right when iPads were out. I got the first model, or I think I got the first model iPad before they even had cameras in them. I was so excited. I made this beautiful presentation. I'm like, this is what I'm going to use in real estate. The broker said to me, if you walk in and do that, they're going to think you're selling like Amway or some multi-level marketing thing. You're going to be a door-to-door vacuum cleaner salesman, and nobody's going to listen to you. What I have learned through the years of teaching this and seeing the most successful agents in the country and in North America and Canada is that they bring a couple things as visual aids. But the second you try to open a book or open an iPad, you go from being a human being to a salesperson We want to do the opposite. We want to go from salesperson to human being. So less is better, but being able to guide the conversation, and I highly recommend that you take these 4 classes called Powerful Listing Conversations. We teach that 4 points that I said, REAL, to guide your conversation, real, keeping it real. We guide the conversation to lead it from me meeting you for the first time to leaving as someone that you trust, someone that you like, and someone that you're fully confident is going to sell your house in the next couple of months. So again, for anybody out there that has not taken Powerful Listing Conversations, I recommend it. If you don't want to wait until it comes around again, you can go to stepaheadrealestatetraining.com. Email me. I will give you a login. Step Ahead. I'm putting in the chat right now. You can get me to give you a login. You can go into that series and take those courses, or you can wait where it's not going to be too much longer before we go through and do them again.